At exactly 11:57 p.m., I boarded the last subway train leaving New York City after finishing a late shift at the hospital. The platform was nearly empty except for an elderly janitor mopping the floor near the stairs. As the train doors opened, he stopped working and looked directly at me. His expression was serious, almost frightened. In a quiet voice, he said, "If you end up being the last passenger on the train, don't look outside after the 7th stop." Before I could ask what he meant, the warning chimes sounded. I stepped inside, thinking he was just an old man telling ghost stories. The doors closed behind me, and the train slowly disappeared into the tunnel. The first few stops felt completely normal. A few tired commuters got on and off, each one disappearing into the night at different stations. By the 6th stop, however, I realized I was completely alone. Every seat around me was empty. The train suddenly became unnaturally quiet, as if even the sound of the tracks had faded away. As we approached the 7th station, every light inside the subway flickered once before turning a dim yellow. The automated announcement crackled through the speakers, but instead of announcing the station's name, a distorted voice whispered, "For your safety, do not look outside." My heart immediately began racing as I remembered the janitor's warning. I kept my eyes fixed on the floor while the train slowed to a stop. Curiosity, however, is a dangerous thing. Just before the doors closed again, I glanced out the window for less than a second. What I saw instantly made my blood run cold. The platform wasn't empty. Hundreds of people stood perfectly still beneath the flickering lights. Some wore clothes from the 1940s, others from the 1970s, and a few looked like they had stepped out of modern times. None of them moved. None of them blinked. Every single face was turned toward my train. Then, at the exact same moment, every one of them smiled. The door slammed shut, and the train pulled away. My phone suddenly vibrated, even though there had been no signal underground all night. A text message from an unknown number appeared on the screen. "You looked outside." Before I could react, another message arrived. "Now one of them is on the train." A cold wave rushed through my body. I slowly lifted my head and looked toward the far end of the subway car. A lone passenger was sitting in the last seat with their back facing me. I was certain that seat had been empty only seconds earlier. Then, without turning around, the stranger spoke in a calm voice that echoed through the empty train. "You weren't supposed to notice me." I froze where I was. The stranger remained perfectly still, facing away from me. Their voice had sounded strangely familiar, almost like my own. Before I could respond, the subway lights flickered again. When they came back on, the passenger was no longer sitting at the end of the car. My heart pounded as I searched every row of seats. The train was empty again. Then I heard slow footsteps behind me. I turned instantly, but there was no one there. My phone vibrated once more. Another message from the unknown number appeared. "Don't let it sit beside you." I looked up just as the train entered another dark tunnel, and every window turned into a black mirror, reflecting only the inside of the carriage. The train stopped at the next station, but the doors never opened. Outside, the platform looked abandoned. Dust covered the benches, old newspapers drifted across the floor, and the station sign had almost completely faded away. Then I noticed something horrifying. Standing on the platform was the same passenger who had disappeared from my train. This time they were facing me. Their face looked exactly like mine, except their skin was unnaturally pale and their eyes were completely black. As the train pulled away again, the figure smiled and slowly raised one hand, counting down with its fingers. 5, 4, 3. Panic took over. I pressed the emergency intercom beside the door, begging for help. Instead of the conductor's voice, the speaker crackled with heavy static before a woman whispered, "It's trying to switch places with you. Whatever happens, don't answer if it calls your name." The connection immediately died. At that exact moment, someone softly knocked 3 times on the door, connecting my subway car to the next one. Knock, Knock, knock. The sound echoed through the empty train. I backed away as the handle slowly began turning by itself. The door creaked open. A cold gust of air swept through the carriage. No one walked in. Then I heard a familiar voice behind me. It was my mother's voice. "Sweetheart, come here." She had passed away 6 years earlier. Tears filled my eyes before I remembered the warning. I refused to turn around. The voice called my name again, sounding even closer this time. Then my phone buzzed with one final message. If it sounds like someone you love, it's already standing behind you. My entire body locked in fear. My mother's voice was so real that every instinct told me to turn around. I squeezed my eyes shut instead. Tears rolled down my face as the voice softly repeated my name. Then it laughed. The warm, familiar voice suddenly changed into something deep, distorted, and inhuman. A freezing breath brushed against the back of my neck. I could feel someone standing only inches away. Slowly, I looked down at the train window beside me. The glass reflected the inside of the subway car. I was standing alone, except for one thing. Directly behind my reflection stood a tall, pale figure with empty black eyes and a smile stretched impossibly wide. It wasn't visible in the real carriage, only in the reflection. The train suddenly accelerated, racing through the tunnel much faster than before. Every light inside the car turned blood red. The electronic route map above the doors began glitching wildly. Instead of station names, each stop displayed a year: 1954, 1979, 1998, 2013, 2026. Then the final destination appeared in flashing letters: last passenger. My phone lost all signal again, but a new notification appeared without any network. Arrival in Oro 3 aisle. Prepare for exchange. At the same moment, every empty seat around me folded down on its own, as if invisible passengers had just sat down. I heard whispers surrounding me from every direction. Although I couldn't see anyone, I could feel hundreds of eyes watching me. Slowly, faint reflections began appearing in the dark train windows. Men, women, and children sat silently in every seat. Their faces were pale, and each one wore clothes from a different decade. None of them blinked, they simply stared at me. Then together, they pointed toward the door at the end of the carriage. It slid open by itself. Standing there was the pale version of me from the platform. This time, it wasn't smiling. It quietly said, "One of us has to stay on this train forever." The creature stepped into the carriage, and with every step it took, my own reflection in the windows faded. I looked at the glass and could barely see myself anymore. The pale version grew clearer while my image disappeared. My phone buzzed one last time before the screen went black. A single sentence appeared in white letters. "If your reflection disappears completely, the train will never let you leave." The creature kept walking toward me, and with every step it took, I felt weaker. My reflection in the train windows faded until it was almost invisible. The pale version of me smiled and held out one hand. "You looked outside," it whispered. "Now the train needs a new last passenger." Every invisible traveler in the carriage slowly stood at the same time. Their empty eyes never left me. The train began shaking violently as the lights flickered between red and complete darkness. Then the automated announcement echoed through the speakers one final time. "Final stop. Only one passenger may leave." The train screeched to a halt inside a station that didn't exist on any subway map. The platform was covered in thick fog, and an old sign simply read, "End of the line." The doors slid open. Fresh air rushed into the carriage, but none of the ghostly passengers moved. The pale version of me pointed toward the exit. "Run," it said with a grin. I didn't stop to think. I sprinted out of the train as fast as I could. Behind me, I heard hundreds of footsteps chasing me across the platform. Just before the doors closed, I threw myself through them. The train pulled away into the darkness, carrying the screaming voices with it until everything became silent. When I looked around, I found myself back at the same station where I had boarded hours earlier. Morning sunlight poured through the entrance, and commuters hurried past as if nothing unusual had happened. Shaking, I ran to the station manager and tried to explain everything. He listened quietly before opening an old filing cabinet. Without saying a word, he handed me a yellowed newspaper clipping from 1986. The headline read, "Last subway train disappears with 43 passengers." Beneath the article was a grainy black and white photograph of the missing passengers, standing in the last row, smiling directly at the camera. Was me. I stumbled backward, insisting the photograph had to be fake. The station manager slowly shook his head. "Every few years," he whispered, "the train comes back looking for someone to replace the passengers it loses." He pointed toward the photo again. My face slowly began changing before my eyes. The smiling version of me in the newspaper blinked once, then turned its head to look straight at me. The clipping slipped from my hands. My phone vibrated with one final text message from the same unknown number. "Thank you for riding with us. Your next journey departs tonight at 11:57 p.m. That night, I locked every door in my apartment and swore I would never step onto another subway again. At exactly 11:57 p.m., the lights in my living room suddenly flickered. A familiar announcement echoed through the silence. "Stand clear of the closing doors, please." When I looked toward the hallway, a pair of subway doors slowly slid open where my bedroom wall used to be. Beyond them, I could see the same empty train waiting, and the last passenger was already saving the seat beside them.